PACTV is pleased to host this Q&A with the candidates running for the Plymouth and Barnstable County Senate seat. And I am pleased to welcome Jay McMahon, a Republican from Bourne. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Julie. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. A couple questions before we get started. What is your current occupation?
I'm a self-employed attorney. Been doing it for over 30 years. I've had thousands of cases. A lot of them local. A lot of the people that I've represented are well within this district. And I've been a trial lawyer, and I do just about everything that requires a trial. Wills and trusts, domestic relations. I do some criminal cases. I won't do things like drug smuggling and stuff like that, or murder cases, but I do things where there's reasonable doubt and we can show it. So that's basically it. I've represented the underdog in many cases and have come out on top. So I feel that my background has really helped me and prepared me for this job here as a state senator.
Okay. And do you have or have you served on any boards or committees, either elected or appointed?
I have. I've mostly in the town of Bourne, but also in the town of Sandwich. Years and years ago, I lived in Sandwich, and I was put on a blue ribbon committee. That's what they called it back then. There was some problems going on in a Board of Health visiting nurse organization type thing in the town, and they needed to have some people from outside to come in and listen and give some recommendations and clear it up. So I was on that, and most recently in Bourne, I was a member of the Bourne Financial Development Corporation. Basically, what we're looking to do for Bourne is we're trying to bring in green businesses. And we've got some areas in Bourne where we want to develop for that, because we're looking to create jobs in Bourne for our future people coming out of high school. And we have an eye on green productions and green businesses and stuff like that. And we've been working hard at it. And that's succeeding. And the only reason why I'm not a member of that board right now is because it requires a lot of time. Mm-hmm. And I ran for Attorney General, as you know, and there's certain things that you can't have, certain conflicts that you can't have when you're running for public office. So I had to resign from that. But I really enjoyed it. I was on it for, I'd say maybe 8 to 10 years.
Okay, wow. And where can constituents go to find out more about you and your campaign?
You can go to my website. It's www.attorney, you spell it all out, ATTORNEYJ, JAY, McMahon, MCMAHON.com. And I encourage you to go there so that you can learn more of where I am on the positions. You will see there that I'm not wishy-washy on the positions. I mean, they're pretty clear. You'll know after you go to my website, or if you want to go to my Facebook page at J for State Senate, JAY with the number 4, State Senate, on my Facebook page. You go there and you'll see my positions are pretty clear cut, and there's reasons behind them why I take those stands.
All righty. So now we're going to get right into the questions. Okay, question number 1. Given that you will be coming into office midterm, how do you plan to tackle the process of getting up to speed on the myriad of topics and work product already being done in the 6 towns that you will represent?
Well, thank you, Julie, for that question. I'm already doing it. As you know, the state committee had a public hearing forum at the State House for the so-called Safe Communities Act. You remember that? I went up there, and I think a lot of people, maybe a lot of our viewers, also went up to attend and give their voice. The Safe Communities Act is anything but safe, and my position was to oppose that. This is an act which would literally hamstring law enforcement. Now, it's supposed to be like a sympathetic act for people who are in our state illegally, that is, illegal immigrants. But this law, or this proposed act, does not help not one United States citizen, not one taxpayer in the Commonwealth, and not one constituent who voted for these legislators who are trying to pass this bill and throw on us something that I find is disgraceful to law enforcement. It hamstrings law enforcement. It compels law enforcement that they cannot ask certain people about their immigration status. It doesn't make any difference what kind of catastrophe may have occurred, like it would hamstring the police. Like, for instance, in 2013 when we had the Boston Marathon bombing. It would hamstring them. So I went up there as a citizen because I knew about the act, I read the act, and it actually gives extra rights to illegal aliens. And I thought it was a terrible bill for the people who are in the Plymouth and Barnstable district. So I went up there to oppose that. And I had plenty of reasons to oppose it, but I'll tell you what, I got my name on the list at 9 o'clock. At 6 o'clock, they stopped the hearings. They never called me. I won't say or speculate as to why they didn't call me, but there were more than 100 people there that still wanted to testify that never got the chance to oppose the passage of that bill.
Okay. Question number 2. What do you think are the priorities within the district regarding climate change, and how do they dovetail into the state's priorities and initiatives regarding that same topic?
Well, I'll tell you what, climate change, I'm like anybody else. I'm a father, I'm a grandfather, I have children and grandchildren in this district. Lived here all my life. I want the environment, I want to be able to pass off to the next generation a cleaner and safe environment. So I'm all in favor of that. What I am totally against are schemes that are labeled the Transportation Climate Initiative and other schemes like that, where they will raise and jack your taxes up twice as much, and there is no scale or measurement as to how these schemes are progressing, whether they are achieving any goal. In fact, there are no goals. So I'm against those tax-raising schemes, and I will fight them. I will fight them on the behalf of the people of the Plymouth and Barnstable district. But let me say this. I'm an attorney, and I work on environmental issues. I have worked in the permitting process, which is sometimes, in some cases, outrageous, with people, if you want to put a deck on your house, you can't do it, or there's so many hoops and appeals you have to file to do it. And I am more in favor of releasing and doing away with some of those regulations that won't allow people to improve their homes, for which to me is always counterproductive to the incentive of taxes. If you want to talk about real estate taxes, why not let people improve their premises? But getting back to the environment in general, we have plenty of laws on the books right now. And what I would look at is seeing, do we need funding for the Department of Environmental Protection? Do we need inspectors to look around? Because we don't need another environmental law. There's already a ton of things that cannot be done in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. What we need is inspectors who can go and inspect certain places when the Board of Health, because we want to encourage people, you see somebody polluting a river, a stream, you want to call the Board of Health, let them go down and drop a dime to the state and have inspectors come down and prosecute that. When I ran for Attorney General, that was going to be one of my programs. Because, folks, there's plenty of laws already. When people tell you they're going to pass a law for this or that to protect the climate, we've got tons of laws that are not being enforced. And that is the direction I would take us. And I would have that process through the budgetary process. In other words, I can ask the Attorney General, what are you doing about cleaning up pollution instead of these 50, 60 lawsuits against the Trump administration? I want to know, why are you focusing on political activity when really you should be doing cleanup activity, because they have a division with the Attorney General's office to do that.
Okay. Question number 3. Currently, there are many challenges regarding housing. Seniors wanting to downsize and limited affordable options, workforce housing for those who work in our area but can't afford to live here, and affordable housing in general for renters or buyers. Given these challenges, what is your plan to tackle them?
Oh, here's my direct plan. Folks, you need to know that we don't have a money problem on Beacon Hill. We have a spending problem. Right now, currently this year, we have a surplus of $1 billion. We had the same last year, a $1 billion surplus. And yet they're still coming up with ideas of how to tax us and to tax your wallet, take more money from you. I'll talk about that in a moment, but it dovetails into this. We do have a housing problem, but not if you're an illegal immigrant. You go right to the top of the list. I have a severe problem with that we are giving $1.8 billion of our tax state money, not federal money, state money. $1.8 billion are going to housing, education, and welfare for illegal aliens in our state right now. Now, that means they get to the top of the list. And the people who they're ahead of, veterans, seniors, and the elderly. And I'm against that completely. I'm going to change that structure. I'm going to start letting the priorities be for our elderly, for our seniors who have been paying in all their lives, been paying state withholding taxes, Social Security and Medicare, all that. Now, I know that some of that's on the federal side, but also on the state side. I'm going to make sure that they are our priorities. I'm going to make sure that veterans become our priorities. And I'm going to take a lot of that $1.8 billion that we are giving to illegal aliens and start applying it to the citizens of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And then what will happen is we will stop being the magnet for illegal aliens, and we will start using the funds for the people who have put their heart and soul into the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Okay. Question number 4. What do you see in the realm of health and human services as the most vital current concerns that you will be addressing?
Okay, one of the biggest problems we have right now, I campaigned heavily on this when I ran for Attorney General, and I'm campaigning heavily on it now. It is my number one issue, and that is the opioid crisis that we're facing right now. Now, look, folks, it goes like this. We are progressively having more people die each year in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. We are now over 2,000. It started about 5 years ago when it was 1,500 people. They were saying, well, it's 1,500, it's manageable, we'll do something about it. Then it went to 16, then 17, then 19, then 2,000, then 21, and then 22,000 people. Now, folks, this isn't just numbers that are going up a little bit. These are more people dying every year. In other words, there were 1,500 dying, then there was 1,600 more, then 1,900 more, then 2,000 more, and then there was a little drop. It went from 2,100 back down to 2,000, and everybody in state government took a bow and a clap and applause that, hey, we're tackling the problem. No, they're not. That was just Narcan. Narcan was given out to all our first responders, and Narcan, I'm glad they did. And I would gladly fund Narcan, because what that does is it gives the addict who almost passed onto the Great Divide, it gives them another chance to get into effective rehabilitation. And that's the deal, Julie. Effective rehabilitation. It goes like this. I learned a lot when I ran for Attorney General. Government rehabilitation programs are a failure. By and large, they're a failure. You will find every once in a while somebody that made it through. But the statistics are appalling. The government programs are more than a 95% failure. However, private pay programs, if you can afford it, private pay programs, because insurance doesn't cover the extensive remedies and rehabilitation that's required. But private pay programs have an 87% success rate. Now you might say, wait a minute, 87%, because I'm a lawyer, that's the question I asked my experts. I said, how can you be so sure with a number like 87%? I could see if you said better than 50, better than 90. They said 87. They said, because we track them. We track all our people. We track everybody as they go through the program. 87% are clean and healed from opiate addiction one time through the program. I know people have gone through the government programs 30 times and still failing, still standing in the mile-long methadone line, trying to get clean of opiates. Now, the key is this. The The private pay programs are successful, and we should develop our government programs around private pay one time through and be successful.
Okay. And for the remaining 4 minutes or so, can you use that time to cover something we haven't discussed or an area that you want to expand upon that we've already covered?
Okay. Folks, this is the deal. This is the Plymouth and Barnstable district. So we got 6 towns. We got Pembroke, we got Kingston, and we got Plymouth. And then we got 3 towns in Barnstable County. We got my town of Bourne, town of Sandwich, and Falmouth, all the way down to Woods Hole. So it's a long, narrow territory, if you will. However, there is a lot in common with both of these counties. Barnstable County, of course, is Cape Cod. Plymouth, the bulk of the population is in the town of Plymouth. We all have one thing in common, that's tourism. Cape Cod and Plymouth are points of destination. People don't pass through. They come here because they love our place. They love everything, the historic areas in Plymouth, which is America's hometown. They love Cape Cod, and I've got the main section, the Upper Cape area that I'm representing. Tourism is important. Now, this legislature, and I can come out boldly and say they don't care about us. And the reason why they don't, they passed an Airbnb tax. And I know you know what Airbnb is. It's people who have apartments or rooms that they rent during the summertime to college kids who are working in our summer and seasonal industries. Beacon Hill passed a tax against them. Now, there used to be 4,000 B&Bs on Cape Cod alone. Did you know that? 4,000. But with all the regulations that are required now and all the taxes that are required, that number has dwindled down to only 10% of what it was. In other words, they're at 400 right now. That's crazy. I'm going to put an end to that. I am going to do everything I can to repeal the Airbnb tax. Sanctuary state? Not for me. Not in Massachusetts. I've seen too many bad things go down. This country is very welcoming. You want to come to America from another country, you can do it on a tourist visa, you can do it on a student visa, a work visa, green card, if you will. This country is very welcoming. But when you sneak in, that's another problem. Because when you do it legally, we know who you are, we know where you are, and we know why you're here. When you sneak in, I'm very leery of why you snuck in. Why did you come in the wrong way? What was your motive? Where are you and what you were doing? We know that there are ISIS cells, isolated and silent cells throughout the United States. We have seen people who have come in here and taken advantage from other countries. For instance, I could just point to the 2013 Boston Marathon. That was egregious, and there are many people underneath our society who have caused major crimes. On Cape Cod alone last year, 102 illegal immigrants committed some of the most atrocious crimes, sexual crimes, violent crimes, and they were deported. And they were here illegally. We cannot have that. So I am a firm supporter of public safety. I am against any taxes that are going to make life difficult for you. I am against the gas tax. I'm against TCI. Anything that's going to dip into your wallet further than it is now, I am against, and I want to repeal some taxes even on that. So let me just end with this. I thank you so much for listening to this program. I thank you for all that you've done. Check out my website and Facebook page. Thank you.
And we thank Jay McMahon, who's a Republican from Bourne and a candidate for the Plymouth and Barnstable County Senate seat. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Julie. It was fun to be here. It was excellent.
We'll see you next time.